Hello everyone, this is Drew Auker, and this is my 2018 forecast for the San Diego real estate market. Now, I know that if you're watching this video, that you're someone who has the question at one point or another, what in the heck is going to happen with the real estate market? Are we in a bubble? Are prices going to continue to go up? What's going to happen with interest rates? And what did all of this recent tax legislation actually do to our real estate market? See, everyone wants to know what's happening in the real estate market, whether you own a property or own investment properties, or maybe you're thinking about getting into the market. This video will lay out what I see are the key predictors of what's going to happen in the market this year, what you can expect, and then where are the real opportunities that maybe aren't being talked about in the media, but that you want to know so that you can really take advantage of them. So there's a lot of places that I've gotten the data from for this. I'd love to think that I really am like so brilliant that I can come up with all of this on my own, and I'm not. However, I've been in the business now for about 10 years. And for those of you that don't know, I started in our last recession. So I've had a lot of experience in really seeing what are the factors and the predictors and the behaviors that happen in a marketplace that cause it to change and cause it to stay stable. I've taken a look at research done by the California Association of Realtors, the National Association of Realtors, the Local Association of Realtors, Realtor.com, other local economists that we know, and I've taken all of that into account here. So certainly I don't have a crystal ball, but I'm smart enough to know that if you look at the information, you can make a pretty good shot at what you really believe is going to happen. So without further ado, let's dive right in. Okay, so let's dive right in. And to start off on a real high note, I want you to know that as far as I can see, 2018 is going to be the best year in San Diego real estate's history. And now that's just not me trying to get you excited. There's a lot of information that I want to share with you about that. But what you want to know is that no matter who you are in the market, our economy, our real estate market, our stock market are all going to work hand in hand this year to really deliver up some serious opportunity, and particularly in the San Diego marketplace. So, how did I get there? Well, let's take a look at all of the factors that I took a look at. Okay, so the first thing that we want to talk about, whether you're a buyer or a seller or an investor in real estate, is inventory. And the short answer is it's down. Shocking, right? So despite us having a really great stock market, a thriving economy, inventory in real estate remains a real challenge for us across the board. And really, just to give you some perspective, so if 6 months of inventory is a balanced market between a buyer's market and a seller's market, nationally, we have 4 months of inventory. In San Diego, we have 1.3 months of inventory. That's not a lot of houses to sell. That means that if everyone stopped listing their house for sale, we would run out in 1.3 months. So what does that mean for you as a buyer or a seller? Well, if you're a seller, supply and demand should tell you that now would be a really good time to take a look with your real estate professional if this is a great time for you to get on board and capitalize on the market that we've got going here. Market time is down dramatically, and buyers don't have a heck of a lot to choose from. Now, if you're a buyer, you want to hear that dual-headedly, though. See, That might mean, oh, well, I don't want to get into the market. I don't want to mess with that, too much competition. But here's the thing. There's no let up in sight. So, for those of you that are waiting for greener pastures, while some analysts at Realtor.com have predicted that we'll see some more inventory show up in the fourth quarter, we're talking about going from 1.3 months of inventory, maybe back up to maybe 1.7 or 2 months of inventory. We're still not seeing any kind of predictors to return us to any kind of a more lax marketplace in San Diego. So if you're a buyer out there, you want to call me right away so that we can put together a strategy to get you into a house. And if you're an investor, this is really great news. If you own investment property that is underperforming, that maybe it's time to exchange that into something else, this is a great opportunity for you. Typically, 2 to 4 unit properties and multi-unit properties, they stay on the market a little bit longer. Not so in San Diego right now. We can move your property quickly and for a really reasonable market price that'll make you really happy and exchange you into something that performs a little bit better. Okay, let's talk about new construction. And the good news is we're doing it. The news that comes right along with that is that, it's not enough. Although in downtown, it seems like everywhere you look, there's a crane and a building apartments and condos. In the South Bay, out in Santee, lots of single-family home development happening. And here in the metro area, we're having some infill projects start to get approved. It's just not enough to keep up with the pace of demand. And that demand isn't even driven by people moving in. It's driven by just our overall birth versus death rates historically. In San Diego, we've got a whole new crop of first-time home buyers in the millennial generation that are just now coming to the market, and they need housing to buy. And mostly the kind of housing that's being built in new construction isn't the kind of housing that they're going to end up buying, particularly in the downtown market. Lots of high-end condominiums being built for purchase. So what does all of that even mean? Why is new construction important to me? Well, if you own real estate in San Diego, you want to be thrilled about the new construction that's happening for a whole number of reasons. But let me just give you an on-the-court example. So 2 years ago, I sold a client a condominium in Bankers Hill. They put some reasonable improvements into it, not too much. And now here we are 2 years later, and because of all of the new construction activity around Bankers Hill and downtown, and that elevation of pricing that creates, new construction comes out at premium pricing. See, there's now a gap for them to step into, and they're about to now realize approximately a 25 to 30% gain on their investment from 2 years ago, and they never anticipated that. So if you own real estate in the metro area, downtown, etc., you're going to be impacted by this in a really great way. So definitely should give me a call. We can kind of talk through how that might look for you. But that's why new construction is important to our market and how it really affects you as an owner of real estate. Okay, so let's talk about interest rates and what are interest rates going to do in 2018. Now, we've been saying year after year for about the last 3 years, if I'm not mistaken, that interest rates are going to go up. And while they have kind of crept up a little bit here and there, not seeing any real significant appreciation in rates there. But this year may be different for a whole number of reasons that I won't bore you with, but pretty much everyone across the board now, from national economists to Wall Street, is predicting that interest rates on mortgages will rise to about 4.5% from about 4%, which is where they are today nationally. So, well, what does that mean? What is that going to do? Well, first of all, just the sheer prediction of that, if you're someone who's thinking about selling, the sheer prediction of the rise in interest rates is going to drive activity. It's going to create buyers that are going to come to the marketplace for the first half of the year. So if you're a seller, you really want to look at, maybe I want to list my house in the first half of the year, because there's going to be a lot of activity from buyers that want to get in. And if you're a buyer, you've also got to hear that just for really what it is. Rates really are predicted to go up, and there are a whole confluence of factors for why that is likely to occur. Now, if you don't jump on board in the first half of this year and you're watching this video later this year in July, there's no need to be upset if rates have gone up to 4.5%, because that's still just ridiculously inexpensive as compared to, long-standing historical averages. Still a great opportunity for you to buy in this marketplace. Okay, so let's just have a quick conversation now about demand in the marketplace, as it is a very important part of what drives our San Diego real estate market and what's going to cause 2018 to be, again, as I've said, one of the best years in San Diego real estate's history. So our demand is not going anywhere. In fact, it's increasing. So where's it coming from? Well, there's a whole new generation of buyers that are now actually becoming buyers in the market. See, for the past several years, in fact, well, I should say starting about 5 years ago, people said, well, millennials aren't going to buy houses and they're not interested in it. Well, guess what? I'm a millennial technically, and I sell to a whole bunch of millennials, and they are indeed very interested. And in fact, if you're a millennial, likely you're nearing that point in your life where you're about maybe ready to start to have a family or at least get married. And so there's a whole generation of people that now need a place to raise their family. So that's an entire segment of the market that's now starting to come online. And what do they need to buy? Well, they need to buy their first home. So homes that are modestly priced in San Diego, which is between $300,000 and $600,000. And so that whole segment of inventory is being swallowed up really quickly. Lots of demand there. Another place that then demand is then coming from as a result is the Gen X move-up buyer. So those millennials, because there's no real amount of new construction for them to buy out there, they have to buy from somewhere. And smart Gen X move-up buyers that now have lived in their first home for a while, they're now ready to expand, well, they're going to put their home on the market to capitalize on this really great pricing that we have, and that's going to provide a millennial with their opportunity to buy their first home. Another segment of demand is coming from foreign investment. Now, investors have always been purchasing real estate in San Diego and California and the United States at large. But we're seeing a real surgence of foreign investment interest in the downtown San Diego market specifically. There are investors who it's far safer for them and far wiser for them to place their money in a real estate investment in San Diego, even if that investment is cash flow negative. For a whole confluence of reasons that I won't get into, but if you're interested in talking with me about that, please reach out. I'm happy to have a conversation with you. But it's pretty extraordinary what's happening out there. So that's where the demand's coming from. And now, why is it coming? What continues to cause people to be interested and excited in investing and in purchasing real estate? Well, two things. One, which is universal and always and ever already there, is that real estate is perceived as, and historically is, one of the safest, if not the safest investment that people can make today. And two, is that prices are continuing to appreciate and people want to jump on board with that. And the really great news about that is that prices aren't appreciating like crazy town. There's no dramatic spikes and jerks in the market. There's no real true volatility that's happening with appreciation. It's more of a slow and steady growth right now, which is really, really great. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes when I talk about why I say that there's no bubble in sight and that this is not a bubble. Now, any conversation about the San Diego real estate market and my forecast for 2018 would be totally incomplete without talking about our rental market. And our rental market in San Diego is awesome, unless you're a renter. Rents, in case you haven't noticed, have been going up. And they've been going up a lot, depending on how you segment the market and what segment you're actually analyzing. Anywhere from 4 to 10%. You can make a statistic say whatever you want it to say. But most analysts that I've consulted with are not predicting that to slow down at all. Rental demand is going to continue to be high. Rents are going to go up even as much as 12 to 13% for the coming year. So for those of you that are still renting, this is a call to action. I request that you call me and have a conversation about this because the cost of renting in San Diego over the next 10 years is not going to be any kind of advantage for you. Really, you definitely want to get into ownership, jump in, fix your payment over the long haul so that then your cash flow is stabilized and you've got the opportunity to be an appreciating asset. And for those of you that you've been on the fence about buying investment property in San Diego because maybe perhaps, I don't know, you can't get as much cash flow here as you can in some other markets, the strength of the San Diego market in that is that it will always be desirable. And in any market, our market performs. So while you can definitely get more cash flow in places like Tampa, Florida, you can't get an asset that has the opportunity for appreciation that a San Diego investment property does. And you can't get an asset that's going to have rents that have the potential to go up at 12% per year. So great opportunities here in San Diego in the rental market for the coming year. So 2018 is shaping up to be one of the best years in San Diego real estate's history. And even in the face of all of that good news, people are still concerned, well, are we in a bubble? Maybe this is a bubble. And I'm not invalidating that concern. I totally get it. And if you look at the indicators in the market and the conditions of the market in 2006 versus today, they are just totally disparate. Price appreciation in the bubble era was rapid and without control. It was erratic and spiky. When you look at the appreciation in today's market, it's much more gradual. It's been much more controlled over the last couple of years, and that's expected to continue. And if you look at just the buyers that are out there, buyers, by and large, are putting down more money on their homes. They have less debt relative to the amount of home that they're purchasing than they did back in 2006. We also don't have this incredible crop of people that have been taking adjustable rate mortgages without understanding them and knowing that they're going to adjust at some point. And the list goes on and on and on and on. If you have any concern about that we're in a bubble, I would be happy to have a one-on-one conversation with you about any of those concerns and make sure that you get the information that you need so that you are informed and you can be confident in your choices. Okay, so if you're someone who's a buyer in today's marketplace, or you're thinking about buying, maybe you're renting currently, let's talk about the action items and the opportunities that I've laid out here in this forecast for you. The thing to know is that with the low inventory and the high demand, yes, it's going to be competitive for you to get a property. But there's a couple really good reasons to take action. Well, there's really more than a couple. One is rising pressure on rents is going to definitely outweigh the cost of ownership in the long run. Two is your interest rates are historically low. And right now, they're still as low as they've pretty much ever been. And there is the possibility that they will rise towards the second half of this year. So you'll want to take action now on that. And of course, prices are going to continue to increase. Appreciation isn't going to stop. So if you're someone that's thinking about buying right now and you've been on the fence for a while, it's painful being on the fence. I would love to have a conversation with you and support you in getting whatever answers you need, resolving whatever concerns you have, any kind of yeah buts, how abouts, what ifs, all that. Let's have a conversation and just get all of that worked out. And maybe you don't end up buying, but at least you get off the fence, because being on the fence is painful. So if you're someone who you own a home and you're thinking maybe 2018 might be a year for me to look at either downsizing or getting a bigger home, well, I want to talk to you this year, because 2018, if you reference the segments of our forecast, is an awesome opportunity for you. When you look at low inventory, high demand, interest rate suppression for a short period of time with the threat of rising interest rates in the future, there's a real opportunity for you to take advantage of all of those factors as a seller in today's market. And then if you've got anything going on about, like any yeah buts, how abouts about, well, Drew, how are you going to handle getting us into a house and getting us a good deal on that replacement house? I can tell you with confidence, in having worked with people in your exact situation, you know, selling a house and buying a house at the same time, that is not a problem in today's market. We're really successful at negotiating a strong transaction for you on the purchase side, as well as getting you a really great price for your house in today's market and really great terms. So I'll look forward to the opportunity to support any of you in that situation this year, so that you can make 2018 not just the best year for San Diego real estate overall, but your best year in real estate yet. So let's talk about opportunities for those of you that either own investment real estate in San Diego, or you're thinking about purchasing investment real estate in San Diego. Or maybe you don't even think that it's possible for you to own investment real estate in San Diego. Let's have a conversation. Lots of opportunities. First of all, we've got rents going out of control. So that should tell you that if you've been waiting on the sidelines to purchase investment real estate in San Diego, there's no better time than now. As rents continue to go up, people aren't going to stop needing a place to live, and they're not going to stop paying the rent. So really great opportunity to acquire a property now and continue to expect appreciation over the long haul, as any investor would. If you're someone who you own investment real estate in San Diego, there's a fantastic opportunity to exchange you into a much higher performing property right now, and we can perform any kind of complex evaluation or analysis that you could possibly need in order to achieve your cash flow and or equity goals. So I wish you, as someone who invests or is a would-be investor in San Diego real estate, a successful and prosperous 2018, and let's have a conversation soon. Thanks.